everyone, welcome back. We're still hanging out here at reInvent 2023. My name is Adrian San Miguel. I'm a principal partner, enterprise architect, and if you caught the session before, not a security guy, a fan of security, but typically way over my head.
I'm the security guy, Kyle Dickinson, Senior Security Solution Architect that focuses on threat detection and incident response. Long story short, I help people feel more comfortable responding to security events on AWS, and we are joined by our friend.
Chayan Biswas. I lead the product management team for RDS Oracle, SQL Server. Guess what? New one, Db2.
Db2.
Yes.
We got to have words here. And I mean that very, very lovingly, because the first day on the job as a partner SA, I walked into the partner. I was dressed like $1 million. I had a fresh haircut. I was ready to go. I sit down. How can I help you solve problems? And they said, why don't you have Db2 on RDS? That day, I opened my first product feature request back in 2016, I think, 17. And here we are today talking about it.
You know what? We listened.
I see that.
We listened and bolted.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing is it helps further exemplify the feedback loop that we have, where everything starts with the customer's ask, working backwards from them. And it wasn't that we didn't have enough critical mass. We wanted to get it right.
Exactly, right. And the thing is that we keep talking to our customers. We have had Oracle, SQL Server, RDS as a service is one of the 4 services that was launched on AWS. So over 14 years of operational experience. And when we spoke to our Oracle customers, SQL Server customers, many of them said, we also have Db2.
Yep.
We love using RDS. We would want to run Db2 as well on RDS.
Yeah.
So give us that choice.
You spoiled them.
So for the table individual that doesn't know what a Db2 is, can someone please help me here? What is Db2?
It's a relational database engine, of course, built by IBM. It's been around for now decades.
Yep.
And available initially on their mainframe platforms, also available on Linux, Unix, and Windows.
I feel like I just lost my street cred with the tech community just now because it's been around for a long time.
No, it has been around for a long time. But you, as a security guy, you're up in your ivory tower, and I was in the trenches in the data center, racking, stacking, installing config, and then looking at this thing that I don't understand and calling in the DBAs and they're like, all right, your DB2 boxes are up, you're networked, you're clustered, here you go. So now I'm
said
right
you did
there.
it wrong, Adrian.
And you probably did say I did it wrong, that the ports were open and the cluster was built correctly.
So I guess I would be the most inclined to ask this next question is, what are the benefits of this?
Yeah.
Because I know RDS is like Postgres and the other popular database engines.
Yep.
And so how are customers going to benefit from this?
So let's wind back to what managed services are, managed databases are, right, and what value they offer. So you know what, Amazon.com, we operate.
I've heard of that website before.
I've used it a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Recently, right? So we operated some of the largest, most critical workloads you can imagine. And through that process, we learned that, you know what, running databases takes a lot of effort and takes a lot of money.
Yeah, it does.
And so the point being that with all the things we learned, we wanted to give back to our customers the experience to be able to, offload all the undifferentiated work that comes with managing, operating, scaling databases. So RDS, as the name suggests, Relational Database Service, is our managed database service in the portfolio of many other database services that exist that allows customers to easily set up, operate, and scale databases in the cloud. So customers get a fully managed experience. You don't have to acquire hardware. You don't have to do the racking and stacking that you're talking about. EC2, of course, takes care of that. And then installing software, updating patches. I've never come across any DBA who said they loved applying patches. Download it, sit there for hours long to see whether it progresses or not. So with all of those capabilities in automated backups, cross-region disaster recovery, high availability across AZs, everything comes baked in with the RDS service. And as a result, now with Db2 being an additional choice, customers get all those benefits for their Db2 databases.
Yep. And so there's a likelihood that customers that have been using Db2 databases have been using it for quite some time.
Absolutely.
That could be a safe assumption.
Yeah, it's a certainty.
Considering that Adrian's been racking and stacking, and when was the last time he had to do that, right?
A couple weeks ago.
So how would a customer get started using Db2 with their existing environment and they want to go all in with AWS?
You know what the great thing is, whether you're operating your Db2 databases on premises or on EC2, we support the same native migration capabilities that IBM offers with Db2. So you can use the same native tools. Guess what? I'm a AWS Database Migration Service, DMS, now supports Db2 as the source and the destination. So you can also use that fully managed service for migrating data from your source database to RDS on Db2.
As a former operations guy, it cannot be understated how important removal of that undifferentiated heavy lifting is, because the bulk of what I did on a daily basis was rack, stack, config, patch, backup, make sure that the hard drives were functioning correctly, plug in the network cable because somebody accidentally jostled it, and having to remove that operational burden to allow the customer to just focus and here's your DB instance, let it go, we're going to take care of HA, we can help you establish FT, we can put you on a regimented backup thing that doesn't require agents, it doesn't require reconfig or just redoing the world. That's huge.
Absolutely, and that's what we heard from our customers.
I see Adrian's sorrows behind his eyes, because I could see he wanted this many years ago.
Yeah, I wanted this many, many years ago, especially for one customer in particular. And they had the exact same operational pain that you're mentioning, where the amount of time and overhead investment in making sure that this lifeblood of the company, this financial system, would stay up. We asked that hypothetical question as we were gathering the information for the customer to help build that product feature request. Like, what would you do with all of that time? How significant of the investment would you be able to recoup if you were able to do X, Y, Z? It's game changing. It really is game changing.
Now, I know you have a demo, and some folks are going to want to see how, I mean, you've been saying the word simple. When I think of the word simple, I think like silly simple. So through the power of magic and sharing, let's bring your screen on. Bippity boppity demo.
Let's do it.
Oh, let's try that again. Bippity boppity demo screen. Ha! There we go.
There it is.
Stick with security.
My magic's still working.
So let's hop onto the RDS console.
Okay.
The thing is that it is available. RDS for Db2 is generally available, so anyone listening to this, talk can just go in.
So if they go to it right now,
they can follow the same steps that we are going to follow here, right? So let's go on and create a database, because that's what I want to show, how easy it is. Of course, all of this is backed by APIs. You can use CloudFormation templates, any other infrastructure as code, tools you want to use.
It's amazing how many API calls fire off just looking at the console and then clicking through for you. It's incredible.
Yeah, exactly. We provide a simple template, easy create, that gives fewer choices. You can get started very quickly with it, but I do want to show all the capabilities and features that are there. So we'll start with standard create. Here's where the magic happens now. All the engines you see, there's a new one.
There it
Db2.
is.
Yes. We support standard edition and advanced edition.
I'll just say unrestricted. As a security person, I don't like that word a lot. But
I would agree. Now the context is that standard edition has certain restrictions on the size of the instance you can run on.
Okay.
So 32 vCPUs, 128 gigabytes of RAM.
Okay.
So I'm going to actually go to advanced, take some more risk, and go with the largest instance we have. I'm just kidding. But we'll look at all the instance choices that are there. 11.5.9, that's the version we support right now. There's only one version right now, but 11.5.9 is what's available. You can go with the production template or dev test. Dev test is, as the name suggests, it will by default deploy to a single AZ.
I'll just say, and that's very similar to like the other database engines too, where it's kind of like single AZ. Maybe not necessarily your best practices for a production workload, but you want to get off to the races to do your development before you go to a production environment.
Correct. So dev test template is intended to come up with the sensible defaults for a development and testing workload.
Okay.
So it's not meant for production. It's not meant for high availability. We'll go for production.
How many times have we said, "Oh, it's just a dev instance," and then it's
Every
production?
time. Every single time.
All right, so the first thing we can change here is the database instance name. I'm going to call it Demo 10. I've been doing lots of demos. So I'm just going to go for a high number so that we don't have a name conflict here. No need to change the master username. Of course, you can go and change the defaults if you want to. One interesting feature here is that you can, again, have Secrets Manager completely manage your master user in the database. I'm going to go for that option.
Okay.
So it will store the username, credentials, and Secrets Manager. You don't have to deal with anything plain text. There's an encryption key. I'm going with the default. You can choose your own if you want.
Okay.
So here's where the instance classes come in. So what types of instances we support? M series being, the standard classes, right? Db2 being a database. They tend to be memory intensive. There are customers who have very large workloads.
I was saying, especially you're talking about potential transactions in the thousands and hundreds of thousands.
Correct.
A second.
And the piece with databases is the more you can keep in memory, the faster it is.
Yep.
Right. So the working set, if it can fit into the memory, that's ideal for it.
Okay.
So the largest instance we support, I'm going to scroll down. It's an X2 IEDN 32 extra large.
Oh, no.
That's 4
128
terabytes of RAM.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Yes. So that's the largest. For now, I'm not going to opt for that. Be a little frugal. Go with
Why not?
8XL.
I was gonna say let's open up the throttle on this one.
No. All gas, no brakes. But that's incredible, though. Okay,
Yeah.
so again, not a database person. What would be like a common use case for something that as gnarly as an instance with 4 terabytes of RAM?
You know what? We have heard from customers where they have like 20, 30 years of, let's say, financial records stored in their databases. And sometimes they need to go back and be able to query that data. And how do you query that data? At some point, you have to bring that data
Into
in
memory.
And if you have lots of it, you would want lots of it in memory. So
Got
4
it.
terabyte. It's not unusual to hear like you have terabytes, like tens of terabytes of storage, database storage itself. So 4 terabytes is just a subset of that. Right?
So you're just loading it in memory, and so it's easier to transact with that.
It's faster,
Okay.
right? So, of course, we provide elastic block storage as the storage medium here, right? And there are 2 choices. Did we lose the demo screen?
No, I think we were just bantering too much back and forth, and they're just like, let's show the beautiful faces. So let's go ahead and get back to our demo screen here, where we're provisioning. So we got our storage, general purpose, and provisioned IOPS.
Okay.
Right. So GP3 and IO1. IO1 is for IO-intensive workloads, workloads where you have to go to disk a lot many times. You can provision the IOPS beforehand in this. Or you can go for GP3, wherein you get a certain entitlement. For example, for 400 gigabytes, you get 12,000 IOPS included. You don't have to provision them.
Yep.
And 5 Mbps of throughput. Other option is auto-scaling. We select this by default. We can auto-scale your storage up to 64 terabytes. And of course, this helps you set the upper limit. I can change this to, as you see the number here.
Yeah.
Right. That's 64 terabytes. Then multi-AZ, selected by default. This is a production database that we're trying to create.
And that's
as you
because
remember.
we toggled the production option.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Correct. And so this would create a standby instance in a separate AZ. It is passive, but it is synchronously replicated. So you don't lose any data in case something goes wrong with your primary database instance. RDS will continuously monitor it, and if something goes wrong, we automatically fail you over to the standby.
Okay.
Good night. That is crazy.
It's almost like resiliency is important,
Yeah.
especially for databases.
It's a word.
And this is all behind a database DNS endpoint. So your application doesn't need to figure out, hey, at failover, I need to reconnect and all of that. It will get handled by the DNS.
No crazy, in case of emergency, fire script to go and swing DNS and change IP addresses and tell the app go somewhere else. No. The right way, in other words.
Right.
Exactly. All right, so then connectivity on the RDS console, this is a new feature. If you already have an EC2 instance running your application, you can use this to connect to it. So it will set up like the security groups and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
For now, we are not going to get into it in the interest of time. Again, IP4 network, you have all those configurations, right? Default VPC is what I'm going with. You can choose whatever VPC. Databases, public access, don't really recommend. If you are really inclined, but I know you care about security,
you will not. As a security person and not knowing much about databases.
But if the ports aren't open, how are you to get to it?
Don't do it.
Start a star.
There's use cases, of course, but generally don't do it.
No. Exactly. So public access, no. Security groups, again, I'm going to go with default. You can select your own.
Yep.
Certificate authority, again, it's for TLS communication to your database instance. Finally, authentication. So here's the other piece. We also support Active Directory authentication. This is with AWS Managed Active Directory. So if I select this option, it will give me the choice to pick a directory. Of course, I don't have anything created. This is a demo account. But if you want, you can go with that.
Cool.
And enhanced monitoring will get you lots of details from the database level in terms of which queries are consuming what kind of CPU and memory resources and so on and so forth.
And the additional configurations, like, hey, you should probably look at these and configure them, but for the interest of time in a baking show, we'll skip over those real quick. Unless if there's something new in there.
So one thing I do want to call out here is the parameter group.
Okay.
So Db2 is a licensed database.
Okay.
So we allow you to bring your own license. So if you have an existing license with IBM, you can bring that license information on.
That's an important piece to bring up during this show.
Right. So I wanted to touch upon that. The default parameter group that we create wouldn't have the license information, of course. So one thing you would want to be mindful of is create a parameter group, which has IBM essentially requires two things. It would be the customer ID and site ID. So in the parameter group, you can specify that. If you have the time left, I'll quickly get there. But enable backups, KMS key encryption. You can also export the logs to CloudWatch logs. DAG logs are usually very helpful for IBM support for them to diagnose what's going on. Right?
And that's a IBM database specific feature flag right there. Okay.
Correct. So practitioners who are aware of IBM Db2, they would know that DAG.log contains all the information around administratively what's going on with the database, and it helps customer support troubleshoot all of that.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to skip it for now. Auto-miner version upgrades, we will automatically upgrade you if you want that. So customers prefer to do that definitely for their dev test environments. Sometimes also for production. Other customers who are more conservative, they will make the choice themselves. They can go in and do it.
Okay.
Yep. You can specify a maintenance window. For now, I'm going to skip. And enable delete protection as a default configuration.
Because this has been marked as a production instance again.
Correct. Right. So with that, just hit create. The thing is, it will take a few minutes to create. I'm not going to wait around for that. The parameter group, I wanted to dive.
Fortunately, we have like 9 others we could look at that you've supposedly deployed.
Yeah, just like a pie. We got this one ready, so we don't have to wait for it to bake.
I've been so excited talking to customers showing this. You collaborated closely with IBM, and we've been talking to a bunch of customers.
That's so cool.
So there's a bunch of things I've created here. Okay. Dummy, because I want to, of course, share my own license information here. So this does not have the real license information.
Okay. So the parameter group that showed dummy, it wasn't something that's pre-templatized. You created.
I created it and provided, of course, incorrect values in there. Right? These are not valid license information. Yeah. If anyone is interested in trying it out, they can. It won't actually work, and the instance would terminate if you don't provide
So this is almost how you're passing along your license information.
Correct. So these are the 2 parameters you would want to make sure you come in and populate, because if you don't, eventually the database instance would be stopped.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Now, what happens if someone doesn't select or create a parameter group, or can they even deploy it without selecting a parameter group?
We actually throw an error if you go with the default parameter group, and we'll guide you to like, hey, go create a new one.
So we won't let you get so far down the trail, and then you're just like, I got it. Oh, wait, I forgot my license key.
Right. You can also modify the instance and attach a different parameter group. That's
Okay,
also a
so
choice.
it's
Yeah.
not something that's like once you configured it, you're stuck with that configuration.
Yeah.
If something updates or changes, you're able to do that on the fly.
Right, right. So let's say your contract changes, you want to update the values, you can come in here, update the parameter group, or for that matter, you can apply a different parameter group if you want.
This is
Awesome.
Yep.
This, I mean, I know Adrian thinks this is amazing. I'm learning a lot. But, you know, okay, so for those that are here at reInvent, where can they learn more about DB2 on RDS now?
We have a blog post that went out. Give it
Okay.
a read. Lots of good information there. Our documentation is up, so you can read all of that. And you know what? If there's any additional information, I think we covered quite a bit here.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, we are always available. Talk to
Awesome.
us.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time and explaining
you.
what DB2 is for me and making Adrian's dreams come true.
Dreams do come true.
Live at reInvent 2023, Las Vegas, Nevada. It's not Nevada, I promise you. Catch you in a bit.
Thanks.